Listen closely, my friends. We have all been there. You are in the middle of a heated argument. Maybe it is with a coworker who is unfairly taking credit for your hard work. Maybe it is with a family member who just does not seem to understand your life choices. Or maybe it is a stranger on the internet who is completely twisting your words and misinterpreting everything you say. Your heart starts pounding in your chest. Your face gets hot, your breathing gets shallow. You start talking faster, raising your voice, desperately trying to force them to see your point of view. You throw out facts. You bring up past mistakes, and you try to crush their logic. And then the argument ends. Maybe you won on paper. Maybe you got the last word in. But how do you feel? You feel completely drained. You feel angry, shaky, and miserable. Or worse, you lost your cool. You said something cruel that you instantly regretted, and now you are lying awake at 2 a.m., replaying the conversation in your head, thinking of all the perfect, smart things you should have said. We are taught from a very young age that an argument is a battle. We are taught that we need to defeat the other person, destroy their points, and force them to admit that we are right and they are wrong. But here is the secret that the ancient Stoics knew, a secret that completely flips the script on how we handle conflict. Asterisk. The person who gets the most emotional is the person who loses. The ancient Stoics, men like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, were masters of debate. They lived in a world full of political enemies, backstabbers, and loud, irrational people. But they knew that true victory in an argument has nothing to do with making the other person look foolish. It has everything to do with maintaining your own dignity, your own peace, and your own rational mind. Today, I am going to share with you the 7 Stoic secrets to win every argument, and let me be very clear right from the start. Winning does not mean destroying the other person. Winning means controlling the room, protecting your peace, and often completely disarming your opponent without ever raising your voice. Let's dive in. Asterisk secret number 1. Redefine what winning actually means. Before you can win an argument, you have to understand what you are actually fighting for. Most people argue to protect their ego. They want to prove they are smarter, better, or more right than the other person. When someone challenges our opinion, our brain feels it as a physical attack. We get defensive. We want to fight back. But the Stoics believed that if you lose your temper during an argument, you have already lost, regardless of what you said or how good your points were. The philosopher Epictetus put it perfectly. If you are defeated by anger, you are defeated by them. Think about that for a second. If someone says something rude or provocative to you, and you explode in rage, they have successfully controlled your emotions. They pushed a button, and you danced. They won. You became their puppet. To win argument, you must first detach your ego from the outcome. Your goal is not to prove you are a genius. Your goal is to remain rational, calm, and in control of yourself, no matter how irrational the other person is being. When you stop trying to beat them and start trying to master yourself, you instantly become the most powerful person in the room. You win by not letting them change who you are. Secret number 2. Master the 3-second Stoic pause when someone challenges you or insults you. Your brain's amygdala, the primal emotional survival part of your brain, wants to react instantly. It wants to fight back or run away. This is why we say things in the heat of the moment that we instantly regret. We speak before we think. The Stoics practiced the art of the pause. They knew that between a stimulus, what someone says to you, and your response, what you say back, there is a tiny gap. Most people live their whole lives without ever noticing that gap. They just react on autopilot. But the Stoic lives in that gap. When someone throws a provocative statement at you, force yourself to wait. Do not speak immediately. Take a deep, slow breath. Count to 3 in your head. Look them in the eyes with a calm, neutral expression. This simple pause does 2 incredibly powerful things. First, it allows your logical brain to catch up with your emotional brain. It gives you the time to choose a smart, strategic response instead of a dumb, Reactive 1. Second, it completely unnerves the other person. They are expecting you to snap back. They are bracing for a fight. When you just look at them calmly in silence, it breaks their rhythm. It shows them, without you saying a single word, that their words do not have the power to instantly rattle you. Secret number 3. Disarm them with "you might be right." This is the ultimate conversational jiu-jitsu. It is the single most effective way to win an argument with a stubborn, arrogant, or toxic person. When someone is aggressively trying to argue with you, they are bracing for impact. They are pumping adrenaline, ready to counter every single point you make. They want a fight. They want you to push back so they can push harder. Instead of giving them a fight, you simply say, "You might be right," or "That's a fair point. I can see how you might think that." And then you stop talking. Think about how incredibly disarming this is. You just stepped completely out of the way and they fell over. They cannot argue with someone who agrees with them. The fight instantly evaporates. By saying, "You might be right," you aren't actually admitting defeat or agreeing with a lie. You are just refusing to engage in a pointless ego battle. You are showing them that your peace of mind is far more important to you than being right in their eyes. It leaves them standing there with no one to fight, which is the ultimate victory. You take the wind right out of their sails. Secret number 4. Listen to understand. Not to reload, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yet we use them in the exact wrong proportion during an argument. When the other person is talking, we are not really listening. We are just waiting for our turn to speak. We are formulating our next brilliant counterattack in our heads. We are reloading our argument while they are still talking. Epictetus taught us the power of true listening. He knew that people who are arguing loudly are often just desperate to be heard. They are shouting because they feel ignored or misunderstood. If you want to win an argument, let them talk. Let them get everything out. Nod. Maintain eye contact and actually listen to the words coming out of their mouth. When you let someone speak without interrupting them, 2 amazing things happen. First, they often talk themselves into a corner. Without you pushing back, they start repeating themselves, their logic starts to crumble, and they reveal the flaws in their own argument. Second, because you actually listened to them and made them feel heard. When it is finally your turn to speak, they are much more likely to lower their guard and listen to you. Winning an argument is not about talking the most. It is about speaking the most truth, at the right time, after you have fully understood the other side. Secret number 5. Strip away the drama and stick to the facts. When we are emotional, our brains love to exaggerate. We use heavy, dramatic language that fuels the fire and makes the argument deeply personal. Think about a typical argument with a partner, a friend, or a roommate. You might say, "You are incredibly selfish, and you never care about my feelings." The Stoics practiced a technique of stripping away the emotional adjectives and looking only at the raw, objective facts. What actually happened? The fact is, they forgot to call me when they said they would. That is the fact. Everything else. They are selfish. They don't care. They are a bad person. Is just your opinion. It is a story you added on top of the fact to make yourself feel like a victim. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He would look at the things that annoyed him and describe them in the most boring, clinical way possible to strip them of their emotional power. When you are in an argument, strip away the drama. Look at the bare facts. Say, "You said you would do this by Tuesday, and it is Thursday, and it is not done." When you argue using only cold, hard facts without the emotional dressing, the other person has nothing to push back against. You cannot argue with a fact. You remove the fuel from the fire, and the argument instantly becomes a calm, rational discussion. SAST. Secret number 6. Ask questions instead of making statements. When you make a strong statement, you put up a wall. The other person's natural instinct is to attack that wall. They will find a hole in your logic and strike. But when you ask a question, you open a door. The ancient Greeks and Romans, including the Stoics, loved the Socratic method. Instead of telling someone they are wrong, you ask them questions that gently lead them to realize they are wrong on their own. If someone is making a ridiculous or unfair claim, do not say, "That's stupid," or "You're wrong." Instead, ask, "How did you come to that conclusion?" Or "What evidence supports that idea?" Or "How do you think that would work in practice?" When you ask questions, you put the burden of proof on them. You force them to explain their logic. Often, as they try to explain it out loud, they will stumble. They will realize their own argument does not make sense. You win the argument not by crushing them with your superior logic, but by gently guiding them to see the flaws in their own. It keeps you calm, it keeps them talking, and it makes you look incredibly wise, composed, and in control. Say the ultimate win is walking away. Sometimes the smartest, most stoic move you can make in an argument is to simply refuse to have it. Seneca wrote extensively about the shortness of life. He pointed out that we waste so much of our precious, limited time on trivial things, including arguing with fools. There are people in this world who are deeply committed to misunderstanding you. They do not care about the truth. They do not care about finding a solution. They just want to vent their anger, prove they are right, or drag you down into the mud with them. There is an old saying, "Never wrestle with a pig." You both get dirty, but the pig likes it. If you try to reason with an irrational person, you will only become irrational yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every single morning, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. But I cannot be angry with any of them." He knew that toxic, argumentative people would show up, but he also knew he did not have to engage with them. If someone is being disrespectful, yelling, or refusing to listen to reason, simply say, "I don't think we are going to agree on this, so let's drop it. I'm not going to continue this conversation if you're going to yell at me." And then walk away. Hang up the phone. Leave the room. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate display of power. It shows that your peace of mind is too valuable to be spent on someone who does not respect it. You win the argument by refusing to play a game you cannot win, say the aftermath. What to do if you lose your cool? Now, my friends, I need to be honest with you. You are human. Even if you know all these secrets, there will be times when you lose your temper. There will be times when you say something you regret. When that happens, do not beat yourself up. The Stoics were not perfect. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal about his own struggles with anger and frustration. He forgave himself, learned from the mistake, and tried to do better the next day. If you lose your cool, own it. Apologize for your reaction, not necessarily for your point. Say, "I'm sorry I raised my voice. That wasn't helpful. Let's try this again calmly." This shows immense strength and maturity. It proves that you are committed to your own growth, and it often instantly disarms the other person. If this video gave you a new way to handle conflict, do me a favor. Share it with someone who struggles with anger or arguing. Let them know that there is a smarter, more peaceful way to handle difficult people. And if you want to continue building an unbreakable mind, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of people who choose wisdom over chaos every single week. Until next time, guard your peace, master your reactions, and let your calm be your greatest power.